Since 2015, JGR and Toyota have been the dominant pairing in NASCAR. But what if this pairing never came to be? What if JGR didn't switch to Toyota? What if stayed with Chevy? How different would NASCAR be today? So I'm gonna take a ride in this alternate universe and show it to you. So the first thing that you need to understand is why would JGR switch to Toyota? The reason is kind of simple. It is. At the Chevy camp, they would never be first. Hendrick had the lead. So, in order for them to be truly competitive, to be a top team in NASCAR, they would need to switch manufacturers and become the leading dog. So they switched to Toyota. It was a risk. It was a new manufacturer, which would powering money, but you never know how successful it would be. In their F1 program, they put money. Toyota spent a lot of money, but didn't get the results. I mean, NASCAR could have happened. And the safest thing for JGR was, switch to Chevy. Was stay with Chevy. You can be competitive still. You're gonna be play second fiddle to Hendrick, but you're still gonna be competitive. They swung for the fences going for Toyota and really hit a home run. So in the scenario that they don't switch to Toyota, one of the first dominoes that don't fall is Tony Stewart. In 2009, Tony Stewart went and formed SHR. In this scenario, his contract runs at least through 2009. In real life, it was released a year earlier. So he stays one more year, which means that Joey Logano gets at least one more year to develop. And I think that Tony probably would sign a short-term extension with JGR before he would leave and form SHR. With this, Logano would be a real beneficiary as he would get more experience. Another domino that doesn't fall, that goes to another place, is Ryan Newman. Newman went to SHR. In this scenario, he goes to Childress. I don't think that if he would go to Hendrick because they had the chance to hire him, they preferred Mark Martin. So I think that he goes to the '07 car, the Jack Daniels car. And with this, Casey Mears went to that car, goes to Haas Racing. Um, Another big change is who's going to become the other Toyota manufacturer. This time they had Bill Davis Racing and Bill Davis Racing and WR and Red Bull Racing. They wanted another manufacturer, another team, a top team to lead them. With it, I think it's going to be Chip Ganassi Racing. They were the third team at the Dodge camp behind Penske and Everham, and they had a previous relationship with Toyota. They worked together in IndyCar for 6 seasons, won a championship in '03 with Scott Dixon, and Juan Pablo Montoya in his final year with Ganassi in IndyCar, he drove a Toyota-powered car. So I think that with this, Ganassi signed with Toyota. When it comes to championships, I think that between 2008 and 2013, there would be no change. And I think that in terms of the champions, in how it's gonna come to be, yes, there will be for sure. But I don't think that the champions will change. With this, in the future will come a lot of changes. One big change that happens is in 2013, where Spingate happened. I don't think that Spingate happens in this era, and here's why. There was a perennial chaser out that year, Danny Hamlin. In these races, why he crashed at Fontana. Why he crashed at Fontana? He was battling with Joey Logano. In that scenario, Sam Hornish drives the car, and I don't think that Hornish would give much of a battle for Hamlin, if he would even be at that position. So I think that Hamlin wins the race. With this, he gets confident, he doesn't lose races, and he makes the chase. With this, Truex doesn't have a chance, Spingate doesn't happen, he stays at MWR, and someone goes to front row racing, likely someone like Justin Allgaier. Other changes that happen is that we would still get the chase between 2014 and 2016 at least, and if the playoffs would come to be after sprint and this partnership, I don't know. I think it all depends on how 2011 plays out. If Tony Stewart wins 2011 by let's say 5 points, I don't think that the playoffs happen because like the real thing that made Brian France split and think, oh, this playoff stuff is cool, is that the battle between Carl Edwards and the fact that they end up tied and it was the battle for the win that decided the championship, and that's the real thing that uh, I think made Brian France, uh, yeah, uh, create the playoffs. So I think that we probably stay with the chase, until today. One big change is that, from 2018 onwards, JGR kind of sucks. And from 2015 onwards, and especially from 2017 onwards, Chip Ganassi Racing is a real contender, and maybe Kyle Larson has a championship. Uh, Kevin Harvick still joins as a driver, this time a few years later, like 2016-17. I still think that they switched to Ford to be more competitive. Matt Kenseth is still joining JGR, this time on a fourth car, sponsored by Dollar General. The other car would be 20, which would still be sponsored by Home Depot because Logano would have come in a few years later to the club, and as a more experienced driver, he wouldn't have tore up their cars. And I don't think that this would have strained the relationship between Home Depot and JGR. Carl Edwards joins Penske, and I think that these are the real major changes, but there could be some more things to wonder. I mean, as I said, I don't think that the championships would change, but who knows uh, what happens in 2010? If Tony Stewart is there to help Denny Hamlin, maybe he uplifts him, and Hamlin is more competitive. And there are a lot of other small, small what ifs. So with this, I want to pass it down to you. What do you think would happen if JGR hadn't switched to Toyota? How good do you think that they would be with Chevy? Would they be able to master the Camaro early? Would they really suck the car how Hendrick did for the first 2 years? How good do you think NASCAR would be with Toyota? Would Kyle Larson win the championship? How many races would he and Jamie Mack win? Uh, and do you really think that how long do you think Tony would stay at JGR? And how how different do you think that Joey Logano would be by having more years to develop? I want you guys to answer all of this on the comment section down below.